Big Ed here, and today I'm bringing you two 1911's. This is my Kimber 10mm and this is my Springfield Armory, chambered in 45 ACP. What I'm going to be explaining today is the difference of guide rods. Springfield has your standard partial guide rod for the main recoil spring, and this Kimber has a full-length guide rod. So we'll just go over and we'll put in my 2 cents of the differences between these guns and the difference between a full-length and a partial-length guide rod. First, we'll go over the Kimber. Don't worry, the gun is not loaded. I am all by myself. And that just has a little plunger right there. And to disassemble this is very easy. You push down the plunger, you turn the barrel bushing, and the gun comes apart pretty easily. Also, when you rack the slide back, that's what the gun looks like right there. And you can see the plunger just gets dragged back with the slide. It will not go in front of the barrel bushing. So let's go ahead and look at the Kimber now. So the Kimber, when you go ahead and rack the slide back and look at it, you can see our guide rod hangs out and our barrel is pulled back a little bit, which it should do under recoil. But you can see that guide rod is sticking out of the front of the gun. So let's go ahead and we will take these apart and we will find out my preference of which one I like better. So we'll first take apart my Springfield, and this gun has your regular partial length guide rod in there. And to go ahead and take apart a 1911, you're just going to push down on the plunger, turn your barrel bushing, and then your plunger and your mainspring come out. And then you'll go ahead and you're going to turn your barrel bushing the other way, and it's going to slide out. And then we will go ahead, we will pull the slide back so you get your little divot right there. You'll push out your slide release. Oops. And the gun comes apart, and you can see that was rather simple and it didn't take any tools. And so there you go right there. My Springfield has been field stripped, and they're all the parts for it. So this is basically your partial guide rod, and the spring sits on there like that, and it works just fine. It's worked like that since the 1911, and it's 100% reliable, and I've shot this gun a lot, and it's always been 100% reliable. So let's go ahead and reassemble this 1911, and again, I'm just using my hands, no tools involved. So first thing we'll do is we'll put in our barrel, put it in all the way back. The next thing you know, we will put in our old school guide rod. That's in there. And then we will go ahead and we will put the slide back on. So we got that on. Then we're going to line up our little indentation right there to put in our slide release. And you got to make sure that your holes are lined up right there. See if you can see that. I don't know if the camera will pick that up, but it looks like my holes are lined up. I will go ahead and install my slide release, making sure not to reinforce it. You can see this gun has the idiot scratch on there. I bought it used, and it had the idiot scratch on there already, but I'm sure I made it, added to a little bit throughout the years. And we'll go ahead and we'll put that in. So that went in. Go ahead, we'll cycle it. Gun feels good. The barrel's locked in there. And then we'll go ahead and we'll put it back in our barrel bushing. As you can see, the barrel bushing has a little knob on it right there. Put it in, turn it the other way. Let's make sure our depth is good. There you go. So I got that in all the way. It's sitting on the guide rod. Hold it in with my finger, spin it around. That's it. As you can see, the gun is fully functional and is put back together just in my hands very easily. So let's go ahead and we will do the Kimber now. And this has the full-length guide rod. First thing about the full-length guide rod, unfortunately, is you need a tool. And this is the tool Kimber provided me when I bought this 1911 from them. So the first thing you're going to do is that will depress, because that's pretty gnarly. You can't really push on that. But we will go ahead and it will depress the guide rod, and we will turn that. Wow, yeah, this is so scary to do this. Yep. So I got that out, and you can see the difference there. That plunger is got a hole through it, and it is just so the guide rod can slide through it. And then we will go ahead and we will remove our spring. And that is a heavier spring than my Springfield, because 10 millimeters a higher pressure cartridge is more powerful. So we will go ahead and we'll spin this the other way, but you can feel how tight this is. There we go. So now their bushing is out. Now we will go ahead and we will disassemble it. So we'll go up there to our little indentation. As you can see, it's the same thing on all 1911's. Push it out from the back side. Pull that out. So I had to make sure I dry fired it to get the slide off. Then it comes apart. It's not too difficult, but as you can see, there's one more step involved there. To get this gun apart, and you really need the little tool. You could probably make do without it, but you might have some banged up fingers with that. Alright, so because I'm still breaking this gun, and I went ahead and I cleaned the whole firearm, and I greased it up, and I used a little CLP, which definitely leaves a lot of residue behind, but I wanted this gun to be pretty soupy. So we'll go ahead and we'll put the full-length guide rod 1911 back. So first thing I'll do, I'll slide back in the barrel. So there we go, our barrel's in place. Then I'll go ahead, and that's, you can see our full-length guide rod right there. And actually that's two pieces that's been pressed on there. Yeah, it's been pressed on there. And we'll go ahead and reinsert that. As you can see, this is definitely tight fitting. There is no movement in there left to right. I am impressed with Kimber's craftsmanship. Yeah, the front of it is moving around, but not that back. A little bit, you can hear that. Very minorly though. So that is put back together. Then we will go ahead and we will put the slide back on. Alright, that was the other trick with this gun. You got to make sure it's upside down so all the pieces kind of fit correctly together. So there we go. We'll go ahead, we'll line it up. You can see our little holes line up correctly. We'll put our little indentation, reassembly indentation. Go ahead and put our, let's see, yeah, we're still in there. Go ahead and put our slide stop. Because you have not put the idiot scratch on this, we'll run it through its functions. Let's see, it feels good, so we'll go ahead. You can see there's our full-length guide rod. Go ahead and install our spring. Actually, whoops, barrel bushing first. Install our barrel bushing. Twist that all the way around. So then we'll go ahead and install our spring. Make sure we got our tool close because this is not comfortable to hold on to. Well, let's compress. Actually, we'll probably compress it with the tool. Oh yeah, this is difficult. Yeah, push it. We'll toughen up. One second. I'll push it down with my finger. All right, we'll get it started. All right, so I got it started, as you can see with my finger. That wasn't so bad with my thumb. And as you can see, our barrel bushing is catching our plunger. So we'll go ahead and we'll push down. We'll rotate it. That's it. You can see it pop back up there and captured it. So now we are fully functional. So it's not so bad, the difference between both of these systems, the full and the partial guide rod length, but there is a difference. This, you can probably take it apart without the tool. I could use my thumb and I could take this apart without the tool. The tool makes it easier, but it's just a little more difficult and takes a little bit more time. I think for a 45 ACP gun, I think it's unnecessary. One thing a lot of people say is they like the look of the full-length guide rod. I get it. You see the plunger there. I mean, you can get different style plungers with like the Punisher on them and that stuff, but the full-length guide rod does look a little cooler. The other thing it will do is, since that's a solid steel bar, it's going to add weight to the firearm. And for 10 millimeter, I definitely appreciate the weight. So that's definitely pretty cool, you know, for a firearm like that. But they both work just fine. There's nothing wrong with either one. It just takes a little more time to assemble and deassemble the full-length guide rod version than this one. This one comes apart lickety-split. So folks, that's it. You know, with your partial original length guide rod and then your full-length guide rod. You know, they're both very usable, just different kinds of systems. But as you see, this pistol I have thousands of rounds through, and once this pistol was fixed by Springfield, I bought it used and it did not work great. So folks, that's it. So you see we got the partial length guide rod and the full length guide rod. They both work just fine. It's a little more difficult to take apart the full length guide rod system, but still very doable, and probably doable without the tool if you had to. But this comes apart a little easier. The other added benefit, it's going to give you some weight. So for the 10 millimeter, you have that extra weight hanging out, you know, next to the barrel, which is going to keep the gun down and, you know, stop it from recoiling as high, which is definitely, you know, I'll take that with the 10 millimeter. I'm glad I own them both, and, you know, I'm able to compare this and bring you folks this video. So folks, if you like this video, please feel free to give me a thumbs up. And if you have any questions, post them below and I'll get back to you as quick as I can. Also keep an eye out for the view of this Kimber Custom 2 10 millimeter. It still needs a little more break-in time so I can give it a fair review, because I believe it's a good pistol. It just needs a little bit more break-in rounds, which is not cheap to do with a gun like with a 10 millimeter. But we're working it, and we will definitely bring it to you. And I also probably want to do it up in Vermont so I can, you know, we can blow up some 3 liters up there, and it's a little more fun than down here on Long Island. But folks, thanks for watching. Feel free to give me a thumbs up.